Yo, how's it going, everyone? See, we have. It's been a while. I should have fixed the delay with the camera, so let me know if it works properly now. All right, let's see what we have. Dave's here. Elams is here. Bram's here. Good evening. All right, perfect. Yes, also because last time there was a delay between me speaking and the audio coming in. So what I did a little bit of like a short delay on the audio, I believe. So now everything should be correct. It shouldn't look weird anymore. I'm still looking into better ways to get like latency down with this capture device, but at least like the video quality is a big upgrade, or at least it should be. So that's nice. Got that going for me. But yeah, since it's like a short or like a small box, I don't need it in 4K because right now it's streaming in 4K from the live feed from the video from the camera. So you know, it's good to know from like if we do live sets, for example, where we actually need 4K from the camera, then it makes sense, then we know we're good. But when it comes to let's say streams like this where actually you just use it as a webcam sort of, then I'm probably gonna try out the they have software where you can just use USB connection. So let's try that for next time. I wanted to throw in a stream because I haven't streamed in a while. Just been like really busy with the label, just restructuring a lot of stuff. We've expanded this month. That's taken up most of my time. And honestly, I'm just like a little bit overworked, I say. So last 2 times I was just I couldn't. I just couldn't get myself to stream anymore. I just had to lay on the couch for a bit. But yeah, we're back. Next week though, I'm on holiday. That's a break I've needed for a long time. So I'm finally going snowboarding again. I haven't done that in I'd say 10 years, maybe even more. So that will be interesting to see if I can still do it. If I can still pull it off. Try some is it ramps? Yeah. Some big jumps. Alright, let's see who else. Mixwarp's back. My man. David, Lang, Gavin, go Mason. Welcome guys. Welcome guys. Alex as well. How's it going? Just here for the gym. Always good to hear. You know. Gotta pump up those muscles there. Pinkerwitch as well. Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Thomas? Alright, so yeah, like I said on the Discord, I want to do some questions or some Q&A about the Spotify course, but just generally as any kind of question. So I know I was going to do a like exclusive stream, but honestly, the people that have bought it, no one really had many questions. So apparently the course has been super clear, and anyone that had any questions. So if you did buy the course and you do have very specific questions you want to ask me, you can always send me an email. The email is also in the course description. So yeah, that that should work as well. I was also looking at maybe doing some one-on-one sessions, but that's so time sensitive. I don't have time to do that. But yeah, questions, emails, you can just send them my way. Definitely how do you say, open to answer any like detailed questions there, or of course you can drop them here, because most of the people that bought the course are probably going to be in here as well. We also linked it before, so yeah, anything goes, anything Spotify. You can ask anything, like all the secrets that you might have not gotten in the course, or you were wondering like, okay, how would that work, you didn't find it in the course. You can just drop them in here. Also gonna do some tracks in between. And of course, I'm gonna do some shameless self-promo for my upcoming track with Joop. Played it last Friday at the club. That was crazy. I celebrated my birthday, so exactly 1 week ago, 21st was my birthday, and I celebrated it last Friday, which was like 24th, something like that, with a whole bunch of friends. SEKORA crew was there, whoever's in the Netherlands, that is. And yeah, Joop was there as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it until I played the track, because I played it at like 2 in the morning, like 2 at night. And he had to go because he lives in a different city than I do. But still, yeah, it was a crazy night, and everyone that came out, thanks a lot. If you are around, actually, I'm playing at the NRC club in Witte de Witstraat, which is in Rotterdam. I play there like once a month, sometimes twice a month, and I'll be playing there on the 17th of March again. So if you are around, I know there's a couple of Dutchies here. If you are around, you're welcome to join, and you can I'll get you a beer. That's the good thing about playing at a club. They always get you the drinks for free. So what else do we have? Merch, yeah. I heard from label manager that Spotify editorials only consider tracks pitched by artists with 30k monthly listeners or more. Is this true? Well, I do not work for Spotify, so also keep in mind, anything that I say is my opinion. It's just an opinion, right? It's not so the same as with the course. A lot of the stuff I talk about, some things you get a hunch of how it works. Other things you actually can measure with the statistics that you get, and stuff like this. So the question you just asked, Birch, that type of stuff, they would never confirm this. So what Spotify usually does is they give sort of vague terminology, like with a wink, because they don't want to state these type of things, because it would be deemed unfair, right? So that's the way I see it, and how I would approach it also. So there is to answer your question, sort of, there is a correlation between the amount of monthly listeners that you have and getting added to editorial playlist. That is 100% true. But I'm not sure, I cannot confirm if it's about having 30k monthly listeners or more. So I know like 2 years ago I pushed a new profile. I'm not gonna name which one though, because I know you guys are gonna dig into it. But I was pushing a new profile, and it was a girl, and from Norway. So it was a completely new profile, or at least maybe it had one track on it. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it didn't have more than 30,000 monthly listeners. And we pitched the second track that was coming out. It was like months in between, and the second track that came out, we pitched it to Norway, and it got into 3 editorials, like really big ones as well, that did a lot of streams. So I'm not sure if it's completely true. It might have changed in the meantime, but the thing is, I mean, honestly, if you sort of if you follow everything that I say, that I've said over the years on stream or in the course, you really shouldn't have to worry about monthly listeners, because it will sort of come automatically. You will have the monthly listeners to back up your tracks and your pitches. So I don't think it's, I mean, it helps, right? What I think, I've discussed this with multiple friends that have like, millions of monthly listeners. And it is true that the more monthly listeners you have, the easier it becomes to get added to editorials. It's like this, they have this sort of ranking system. That's what it looks like. Again, I cannot confirm this. I do not work for Spotify. I cannot speak for them. But looking at results and looking at who gets editorials and who doesn't, it feels like as soon as you get into certain marks, like 100,000 monthly listeners or 500,000 monthly listeners or a million monthly listeners, you get placed in different types of boxes. That's what I feel like. So I think they might have a sort of ranking system where it might be filtered by monthly listeners. So if, let's say, they get 1,000 pitches in 1 week, of course it's going to be way more. But I have a feeling that the 1 million plus monthly listener pitches, they get sent to a different box. Like they just get more attention basically. But again, it's speculation, but I feel like it does sort of work that way. So they might have like a filter on or select on where the new tracks with the most monthly listeners in a specific genre, they get put on top. So that's the ones that they look at first, and they sort of get a priority. That is something that could be true. So 30k, I don't know, it seems like a weird number too, like that they have a cutoff at like 30k monthly listeners and everything below that doesn't get any editorials or any listen. I mean, it could be true, I don't know, but I doubt it, honestly. I highly doubt it. But yeah, and again, like it also sort of depends on what you mean by consider it. Do you mean they listen to it, or they would actually listen to it and they would see, like, let's say, let's sketch this scenario, right? So I would be, I would in the position of making a playlist, and I get pitched this track of maybe an alias or an alter ego, someone that's pushing a new profile, doesn't have any monthly listeners or any tracks on it, so they would not consider that. But it's a good track, like it's a quality track, and there's backing behind it. So there's people that are vouching for it. It's getting supported, blah blah blah. So would you then say that, like, would they, or the label manager that told you, like, would they then be like, oh yeah, it's a new profile, doesn't have over 30k monthlies, we're not gonna support that? Seems kind of weird, right? Because I see it happen all the time. New profiles out of the blue gets like 3 editorials, stuff like that, and that's usually an alter ego or alias or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. It's yeah, it could be a filtering system. I don't know, but I doubt it, honestly. But to wrap up your, like, the story, like, I don't think they have a threshold that under 30k they don't consider your music, because if it's a really good song, they have like smaller playlists where they would add it to sort of check if it's a track that works. But there are some things, having more monthly listeners definitely increases your chances of getting picked up. But I would say there's also a lot of other factors that play into getting added to editorial playlists. And while an editorial is nice, and I know some labels, they live off of editorials completely because they don't have that much promo themselves. And that's fine too, because they've built a brand over time, and they build a name, and they build connections with Spotify over time. I think in the end, you need to push your own brand as much as you can, and like really work out sort of a marketing plan and consistent releasing, etc. And if you do everything right, if you do everything that way, which is also what I discuss in the course, if you do everything that's in the course, the editorials will sort of come automatically. So it is nice. I treat editorials as a bonus, because if you land a good editorial, you get like 1,000 streams a day extra on a track or on a release. That's a nice bonus. I mean, for example, Wait For You by Bound to Divide got lifted to, I think we've had like 500,000 streams just from one editorial playlist, maybe even more. So it definitely helps. But I mean, it's unpredictable in most cases, because one day you get editorial, another day a really good track and you don't get anything. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So I don't rely on editorials anyway. It's always nice and I always appreciate it, but yeah, I think you should sort of see your profile as, you're building your brand, you're building your network, and the monthly listeners and editorials, they will come automatically if you do everything else right. Plus, then you're also not too dependent on Spotify alone. I know it's like a nice way or a nice cash cow, but yeah, if you do everything right, sort of, then Spotify usually follows. Let's see what else you have here. It's frustrating to hear as it restricts growth of new art. Well, honestly, so Birch responded with, that's frustrating to hear as it restricts growth of new artists and entrenches dominance in genre leaders. Honestly, that's how everything has always been. So I think there's a book, this goes for everything. So I'm gonna go very philosophical on this answer, because I agree with what you're saying. Like, you know, it's true what you're saying, but I don't agree with the mindset where it's coming from. So I don't see it as, you know, sort of a disadvantage for new artists or unfair, or doesn't matter how you approach it. I think I believe there's this book by Seth Godin. It's I don't know, like he explains this concept about the first and the second. So if you, for example, look at tennis, right? You have the top three, like the couple three top players that, like, you know, the GOATs, sort of say. So Roger Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. But I believe Federer is even in that top three is the highest earning sportsman or highest earning tennis player of those by a long shot. And this is sort of true. So it's always like the top 1% of the top 1% that makes the most income, that gets the most attention, makes the most money, has the best deals, all this type of stuff. And that's true for every industry. Look at football, you have the same with like Ronaldo and Messi, right? These guys make insane amounts, even so much more than everyone else. Like second place, it's usually like twice as much as second place, and second place is already like insanely high. But I think it could be linchpin. I think that's it. It's a very interesting read, but this goes for everything. So as soon as you know, if you work hard and you're good enough and you make your own niche, or you dominate a certain area, or in life, in business, in anything that you're passionate about, if you dominate it, if you get into that top 1% of the top 1%, so the 1% being people that actually live off of music, for example, or professional producers, stuff like that, like people actually releasing music. If you're actually releasing music on professional labels, you're already in the like 1% of music producers, right? But even in the 1%, there's like a 1%, and those are the ones that dominate. So look at, you know, the guys are making insane amounts of money, like the Martin Garrix, the Tiesto, the David Guetta, those type of guys. They make so much more, and they're like so heavily dominating this scene compared to, let's say, a, you know, number 100 DJ, or like if you look at the scale of a DJ Mac, right? They probably like 10 or 100x someone that's on level 100, and they would probably like 1000x what I do, something like that, right? So yeah, that sort of dominance. But the thing is, you can look at it in a way of, oh, that's unfair, and like these people are dominating, blah blah blah. But you could also look at it, or you can think to yourself, how do I get into that position? Because if you find a way to get into the position where you dominate in your field, then it also shows that it would accelerate your growth, it would accelerate your income, it would accelerate your audience and everything that you sort of worked for. And it's also a lot easier to maintain that position that you've worked for so hard and so long. Because what's to say that these people that you just mentioned, like the, you know, the ones that sort of dominate a certain industry or certain sound in dance music or music in general, like if you look at their track record, they probably worked at it for a very, very long time. Yes, there's like these overnight success stories, like Martin Garrix, who's become super popular from like the age of 16. But even him, he worked at it years before that, when he was very young, and he's had a team behind him who has worked for over 10 or 20 years in the music industry, like really pushing him. So they've made sure that they already had sort of their dominance position, and that they pushed him into it. So I think that way, like, I don't see it as unfair. It sort of shows that if you are dedicated enough to make something work with your passion, with anything that you're doing, and in this case with music, it shows that you get rewarded for it. So you also get rewarded with, you know, improving your monthly listeners, doing more releases, and you get rewarded for building your own fan base. And that's what the whole course is about. Like, there's only one chapter that's about, out of the, I'd say 50 chapters that's in the course, there's only one chapter that's about editorial playlists or pitching, because I don't think it's the most important part of Spotify. It's nice and it's a bonus, but everything I discuss, everything I have done, I've only had a couple editorial playlists myself. If I look at my statistics, out of all the editorials, I probably didn't even get, well, maybe I got like 1 or 2 million streams out of the 25 million streams that I have on my profile, on just my UOAK profile. Maybe 2 million of those has come from editorials. So that's a very small percentage, and everything else, it's either been algorithmic playlists or my own playlist and my network's playlist. So people that have supported me and you know, people that I've connected with. I think that's the whole thing. That's the whole gist of the whole Spotify thing, right? That you can actually build it yourself, and you're not reliant on a third party to sort of grant you this success, where, you know, pitching to Spotify is like gambling, basically. You know, you never know if you're gonna get editorials, and then on tracks where you don't expect it at all, they give you a whole bunch of editorials, and you're like, okay, this track really isn't that great, but I'll take it. So yeah, I mean, it's a big rant. I know it's a mouthful, but I did want to state this because that's how I see it. And honestly, to conclude, the world is unfair. That's how it's always been. But right now we live in the most wonderful time, and there's opportunities everywhere. So I would just take it and, you know, grab these opportunities and just go for it 100%, and get yourself into the position where other people think it's unfair. Because a lot of people would say about me that, you know, me having Spotify playlists or stuff like that it's unfair, that I have an advantage or whatnot. But the thing is, most people, they don't consider all the work and dedication and struggles that have gone before that. People only see the success. People only see like, oh, this guy has a label, he has a radio show, he has a playlist, etc. But they might not see that I've been working at my playlist for like 6 years. You know, from when people, like, no one was listening to my playlist, I was still updating every week and picking the best tracks and spending a lot of time into trying to get people to listen to my playlist, to my music, to all that stuff. And because of all that work, it put me in that position of an advantage, like, you know, where I actually have the power to push a track that if I want to. And I think, having that said, that story should motivate you and not sort of trigger some feeling of unfairness, because I personally, I really don't I really don't believe in like victim mentality, and not saying that any of you guys do that, right? But I feel like that is something that's, you know, being rewarded nowadays in our society, and I've always been about, you know, some people they get dealt a really good hand and they still mess up, and other people, they get dealt a really bad hand and they make the best out of it and they build an amazing life. And yeah, that's how I approach things, and also with music and just business in general. So yeah, I do hope that it would change your mind on this whole thing. So just get into the position where you are the one that they check first, that you are the one that has over 30,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 monthly listeners, that you're the one that if you pitch a track to Spotify, they're gonna be like, holy, he released another track, oh god, we have to playlist this. You know, that's the person you want to be. So just go get it. It is really doable. All right, let's see what else we got here about the past 5K. Yeah, see, there you go, 5k. That's only 25 more Ks to go. Well, oh yeah, so Thomas adds it would kind of make sense if they get more attention because they make Spotify the most money. Yeah, so that's also something that is important to Spotify, but to any other platform, is you need to sort of show them what are you bringing to the table, because that's something that I notice a lot as well. People ask me like, how do I get into playlist? How do I get this? How do I get that? How do me? It's all about me. I want to take and not give back. So what I discuss a lot, also in the course, but also in the stream, is about providing value. That's why I also don't ask you guys to sort of donate money. It's nice, you know, it helps pay for this insanely expensive camera I just bought, that type of stuff, but I'm not asking for it. So the reason I do these streams is to give back. I want to help you guys develop your sound. I want to help you guys develop your profile, your brand, you know, give you advice that I didn't have when I was growing with my profile, my career. You know, I want to help you out. I want to provide value to you guys. And I think if you approach everything like that, where you want to give value, then automatically people will also sort of want to give value back. And what I hear a lot, and I'm not saying that you guys are doing this, but I see this a lot with people pitching music to me. It's all about them. It's all about what can I get out of you. They're all like, oh, nice playlist, bro. You should put my track in your playlist. I'm like, who are you? I don't even know you. And same goes for companies like Spotify. So they have a large editorial playlist, right? Why the hell would they pick you out of all the thousands of people that have pitched their song to them? Well, that's because, you know, they're looking for artists that can bring people to the platform. What is the main source of revenue of Spotify? Memberships and attention. So the attention is for freemium users because they sell ads. So the longer people are listening to music on their platform, the better it is. So you can provide value in having a really good song that people want to listen to on repeat over and over and over again. So you generate more ad revenue for them. That's a plus. And on the other side, you also have a plus if you bring in members that could potentially be premium members paying for their subscription model, basically making Spotify money. So if you approach it from this way, instead of I want to get on an editorial playlist, think about how can I help Spotify make more money as an artist? So how can I help them, right? And if you approach it that, you think, okay, I need to find ways to get people from outside of Spotify into Spotify, or have people that are on Spotify already, keep them on Spotify longer. And you can do that by either promoting your music outside of Spotify and getting people to go through your link into Spotify, because yes, they can see this, and yes, they track this. That's also why you see a lot of these ads of my new songs out on Spotify, go stream it now, and then a link to their song or to their profile. That stuff actually works because it sort of tells the algorithm like, hey, this artist is bringing in new people that are not on Spotify yet, and they stick around and keep on listening. So that is what you want to focus on. And if you can sort of prove to Spotify that you are actively bringing in people to their platform, if there's ways for you, and you know that's something for you to figure out. If you can prove it to them, or you can show them, or at least have like the motivation of doing stuff like that, something extra to bring in people. If a curator sees this, or Spotify notices this, and then combined with you having a good brand, good music, a consistent release schedule, everything, right? Everything, all that type of stuff helps you increase the chances of landing an editorial, because they look at it like, okay, this person is actually actively trying to, you know, bring in people to our platform. We're gonna reward him with more placements, and that's sort of how it works. And with the bigger artists, because they have their own branding, again, there you go, they have their own brand, they have a big following. And this following that is following in on Instagram, they might have a newsletter, maybe even Facebook for the old people that still use it, right? I don't know, or anything else. The larger artists with a bigger following, they share the song on all these social networks, and then sort of link it back to Spotify. So that's why they get rewarded with editorials, and that's why they have so many monthly listeners, because a lot of it is organic traffic, and they can see all the links and all the views that are coming outside of Spotify. So that's something that I want you to consider. Also, when you're pitching a track, you're pitching it, and you're not pitching like, oh, I have a cool song. It's like an elevator pitch. If you have a business plan, if you want to have someone invest in your company, for example, when you have an elevator pitch, you explain to them why it's beneficial for them to invest in your company, how they're gonna make more money out of you, because that's all business is. It's about helping each other and making more money. How can you make more money for the party that you're working with? So yeah, that type of mindset has helped me a lot in music in general, but also getting onto playlists, and it's really that simple, but that's just sort of how it is. And you'll be surprised how many people get this wrong. They see it the other way around, because their whole, everything is revolved around themselves, and all they think about is, how can I get better? How can I me, right? So yeah, I try to approach it in a different way. So yeah, that's let's see what we have. My biggest takeaway. Yeah. So yeah, Sasha, Alex also mentioned it. The biggest takeaway is building a brand and non-Spotify engagement is super important for algorithmic playlists. So yeah, making people stick on Spotify and bringing them in outside of Spotify. That's the key. It really is. But it goes for every platform. It goes for YouTube. It goes for Apple Music. It goes for Deezer. It's just that now a lot of people, or most of us, are just so heavily focused on Spotify. But every platform works exactly the same. You need to sort of convince them, and yeah, you need to convince them why it's beneficial for them to add you to playlists. And now everything is going more to, so before you had like the physical editorials or the the physical curators at Spotify, selecting all these playlists. Nowadays it's going more and more towards algorithm. So there's actual strategies. Before that, you might, if you had some connection to a curator, or you had some connections here and there, it could definitely help, right? It used to help a lot of artists, but they're slowly going more towards algorithm. So, and everything algorithm is just, the algorithms are super smart. If you can see what AI does nowadays, that's, basically also what's going on with these algorithms in these platforms like Spotify and YouTube. You need to tailor to the algorithm and sort of make the algorithm happy, and that can increase the chances of landing editorials as well, because algorithm sort of picks out or highlights the people that have a bigger chance of being successful in a certain editorial. So I think and that comes back to, again, building a brand, building monthly listeners, getting as many people listening to your music as possible. And then if you keep on doing that and keep releasing good music and keep on building and building, eventually you'll be rewarded with editorial playlists. And again, I just see it as a bonus, because most of the time when you get to that point where you're getting considered for editorials, you're already on such a good path, because people are already really listening and engaging to your music or with your music, that it comes as a bonus. So yeah, I think the editorials, they usually come when you're already being successful. So that also concludes that you really shouldn't hope to get an editorial just for the success. You should see it as a sort of a reward for all the effort that you've put into it. I think that's sort of the way to go, honestly. Let's see. Okay, so question, does one have to pitch its track to Spotify themselves, or is the label doing it, for example, SEKORA? Yeah, so both, I guess. What we usually do is, for example, with my latest release that's coming out on Friday, I pitched it myself. I think it's stronger if the artist pitches it themselves, but only if they do it the right way, where they have a story that, you know, that sort of engages with with the curator, with Spotify. So there's a couple things you can add to your pitch. For example, you know, like a little backstory of your song. If someone just pitches a song and just writes in, like, I made a new song and this is the name is blah blah blah, and it has a lot of nice melodies and there's a really good beat in there and it has a bass line and maybe some chords. I hope you like it. Thank you, bye, with a smiley face. I mean, it doesn't really say much about your song, and there's no backstory, and it also doesn't tell the curator that's reading it what you're actually actively going to do to make it a success on Spotify. There's nothing they can build on. So in that case, I would say we as a label would handle it. You know, I sometimes check pitches and then, you know, help people write better pitches, like also the artists. But also a lot of artists, they don't even pitch it. So we always pitch it as a backup. But if the artist wants to do it themselves, I recommend them doing it themselves. So, because it gives it more of a personal touch, and I feel like it shows curators as well that the artist is engaged with the platform instead of just having a label handle it. But yeah, to answer your question, we at SEKORA, we always pitch for artists. We pitch everything. Unless the artist wants to pitch it themselves, like I do, for example. I know a couple of other artists, they always tend to pitch it themselves. But in any other case, you know, we always do it as a backup, or we just do it beforehand, because we're pretty much on it, like quite quickly as soon as the track is available in the back end, and we just pitch it right away. And then, you know, if the artist wants to go override it or edit it, then that's also fine. That's cool. So yeah, and the way that we can do it is because you get with Spotify for Artists, you can get different types of access. You can get a label account as well. With a label account, you can pitch all the track. You get like a complete list of everything. Let me actually check. I'm gonna check it real quick. Because they changed some of them. Yeah, okay, so I can share this, it's fine. I'm just gonna check first if there's not like, because they changed the layout of Spotify for Artists, and I didn't want to get like share sensitive information or that type of stuff, you know. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, they changed it a little bit, but yeah, our latest track is Departure. I'm really happy, by the way, that he has joined us again. So I made Parachute with him, which is on out on Armada Electronic Elements. It's already like 1.5 million. It's pretty crazy. Still going strong. And that's most of it is like algorithmic streams. Yeah, and then the next one is like Appreciation. That came out on Friday. It's also doing pretty well. It's almost at 10,000, I see. Yeah, and then you have like your roster here. So with your roster, you have different accounts. You have like artist account and you have label account, and I have like account with management. And so, for example, Karim is one of the guys I also help manage as well. But you get like a roster, and here you can see like all the artists that are connected to you, and then you can see who has a like open pitch. So UOAK and Joop coming out on Friday. We've already pitched this, so that's good. Then Clearance next week, also pitched already. Gabon, welcome to the label, by the way. Gabon, I was about to say, is also pitched already. So Matt's also pitched, and then upcoming Law and Rain, that's also our release. So then you see this turning blue, and you can just pitch the song on behalf of the label. But in this case, in Lar, I would just message him and just ask like, hey, you want to pitch it yourself, or shall we do it? Whatever he wants. So yeah, that's sort of how it works. And yeah, we have this like this huge list, and then everything, like all the new pitches. So as you can see, these are all tracks that are coming out reasonably soon, and there you have a complete list. So anything else that comes afterwards, they don't have any music coming out. So yeah, that's sort of how it works. It's quite easy. Yeah, it's it does take a little bit getting used to the new system though. So yeah, I was about to say, and because I already knew we signed a track with you, but I didn't want to announce it yet because it's coming out in like 2 or 3 weeks, I believe. I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah. So, but yeah, welcome to the label, dude. And what else? What else we got? What's an example of a good pitch / story? Well, have you? I'm just curious. Like, no judging here, but have you bought the course, and have you checked out the video on pitching to editorials? Because I actually in the course I go exactly over like the point system that I use, and it actually works, and it's explained in the course. So I mean, I can share a story of stuff that works, but I'm not gonna share the entire like strategy that I use, because you know, just get the course, it's right in there. But I can tell you though that what's like the editorial pitching strategy that I use, that is in the course. We use it for the SEKORA releases as well, especially when I write the pitch. That's like I really work with this point system. And yeah, so when I finished the course last year, and the first person that reviewed it for me was a really good friend of mine, Mitch Decline, and he had a upcoming release on Yours Foreign's label Spectrum, and he pitched the track himself. So you know, they let him pitch it himself, Spectrum. So, and he used the strategies that I explained in the course, and it got him into some of the best, I think, some of the largest underground editorial playlists. I mean, yes, he has a following, as a background. Actually, let me look it up. But it does show that, I mean, whether it's the so yeah, he doesn't have that many monthly listeners, but yeah, Mankind, that was the track that came out that he pitched, and that's the one that got into editorial playlist. I'm not sure which one it was. It's probably already out. I think it was Electronic Rising or something like that. I mean, it's a really good track, so it only makes sense, right? But yeah, I know it works. I guess it works. So a good story. What I can tell you though about like, I would say like a good text, I'd say. What you can do to improve, so everything I also said before about like pitching or you know, value creation, or you know, writing something that people might find interesting, is you could learn a little bit about copywriting. So copywriting is the art of writing a marketing text, a text that sort of grabs someone's attention, and that really is about putting yourself into someone else's shoes and then writing something that would benefit them. So like, why are you like what are you actually doing to help the other person? And with that in mind, if you write your pitches like that, and being like, we're promoting it on this and this platform, it's being premiered on BBC Radio 1, I don't know, something like that. It's being supported by this and this person, this person has played it in a big DJ set. We're sending traffic to Spotify. And then having a little bit of a short story about what the track is about. So, I think, what was a good one? Yeah, I don't know. I like the stories itself. I tend to keep them quite short because you don't have that much text to write in the pitch. But yeah, just like if there's a backstory about your song. So with my last song, Motorcycle, for example, I write something about I really like riding motorcycle, the adventure, the spirit that it gives, and it has, interesting guitars inspired by Pink Floyd, that type of stuff. That's like a story, but it's not the main selling point of why they should add it to an editorial. And I think I got added to like Dance Chill or something, like a smaller playlist. So definitely not the most successful editorial playlist for us. But still, that was the story. And the story of Do. I don't know. I think the story of Do was about. Do is about the dew that's on the plants with the sunrise. So it probably is like some euphoric feeling, and but we like really went for. And I guess we'll see on Friday if it actually worked, if we did get an editorial. But we went for the angle of, we've been working together. Like this is a first official collaboration with Joop. He's also done a remix for me, and we've been supported by like big names in the scene. So that was sort of our story of where this song came from, and then a little bit about what the track is about. But yeah, again, I have no idea if we're going to get support. So I guess we'll see on Friday if it works or not. First glance, soft launch. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can do a preview. We can preview Gabin's track. That's pretty good. Let's do that. If Gabin is up for it though. Is he? Does the pitch have to be in English or in your foreign language? Because I think they probably have German editors. Well, actually, that's a really good question. I actually didn't think about that. I always write it in English, even when I pitch it to the Dutch editorial team. I think it's good to just do it in English. I mean, I don't think there's anyone working at Spotify that doesn't speak English. I mean, how would they land a job at Spotify without speaking proper English? I don't know, really. So I would just keep it to English, honestly. Okay, let me go get it. Let me go grab that tune. All right. Here we go. Pause this one. And after that, we're gonna go into some demos. I will have to keep the feedback short though for you guys. Because okay, we have 6 tracks. Yeah, and after those tracks, we'll continue on the Spotify chat. There are some things I still want to share as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Matt is fine with it. He'll be, don't worry. Yeah, Matt is also, he's starting tomorrow as our newest A&R. So we've had from February Evan joined the team, which is going really nice. And yeah, he is. And Matt is starting tomorrow. He had some personal stuff that he wanted to focus on first. So, but that was actually perfect timing. So we got Evan started, and then tomorrow forward we have Matt started.
We're on this path just to find out where it's leading.
The song is really good, by the way.
They said we'd never make it on our own. I guess it's make or break as we walk this road. We've come too far to turn around. We've come too far to go back home. And this journey is our own. This journey
Tell
is
Spotify.
our own.
Yeah, the people in the stream really like the song, so it must be good.
And this journey is our own. And this journey is our own. Help me find a way home. Help me find a way home. Help me find a way home. Help me find a This journey is our own. This journey is our own.
Yo, Leo's there. How's it going, man? I saw you pop up last night. Alright, there we go. Yeah. I'll respond to you right now. Yeah, just check your WhatsApp. I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. So, yeah, it's actually a good thing to do this week. I'll try to get it tomorrow, Leo. I'm really like doing my best here to get everything sorted, but it's just really busy times. So yeah, what we're doing with Leo, he prepared some questions for me, and I think we're going to, like, he had some questions for like Spotify stuff. So we'll just keep Leo's newsletter in mind. If you guys haven't signed up to Leo's newsletter, guess now would be the time to do it. We're also starting a SEKORA newsletter soon, but I actually want to offer something worthwhile to follow the newsletter, like not just be like follow me and then but why, so I'm looking at creating something nice, like a giveaway for you guys. So if you sign up, you get like exclusive content or tips and tricks type of stuff. If you have anything or any ideas or stuff you like to learn about, please send it my way. Let me know. I'm thinking about sharing the distribution file. So in the course, there's like a bonus chapter, like a PDF that I've written about finding a distributor, distributing your songs, so getting your songs on Spotify and all these beautiful platforms, but how you approach distributors, which ones would be the best for you, and also my experience in how I got to our distributor, which is Universal right now, which I'm really happy with. They're definitely the best distributor I've worked with so far. So I have a feeling that we'll be staying with them for a while. But yeah, that's something I want to share as a giveaway for the newsletter. But if you guys have any other ideas, please let me know. You can drop it in the Discord as well, or just on the stream here or in the comments, whatever you like. But I want to offer some value, like really make it a cool newsletter, something that you actually enjoy reading. So with some, some tips of the month, sharing the new SEKORA radio, maybe sharing some previews of some tracks that are coming out soon. I don't know, just anything really, and then keep it to a monthly thing for now, and just see how it goes. If people actually enjoy it, and then can continue on that. Okay, so we'll just go into some demos now, and then afterwards we continue with the business talk. So if you do have any questions, just drop them in the Discord or in the chat, and I'll try to answer them after we've gone through the tracks. So we have 6 tracks. The last one is going to be Kopo. I'm also not going to do anything else after this one, unless it's someone that donates. That makes sense. But yeah, let's keep it stick to 6 for today, because we've already been going for an hour. So the first one is Dave ES. Does that mean from España? Or something else? Sun 3. Do you say sunny or soon? Sun 3. How do we pronounce this? Italian in the house. What was I about to say, by the way? You guys haven't actually followed me on SoundCloud yet. I'm so close to 10,000 followers. Like, come on, guys, give us a follow here. I mean, no one really cares about SoundCloud anymore, but still, 10,000 is that's a cool number. SoundCloud is coming back. How? Explain this to me. Coming back as a zombie, maybe, to haunt the living. I mean, I shouldn't bash SoundCloud too much though, because I have my radio show on it, so they might kick me off. I'm like, who's this guy bashing us? Let's block him.
And I'm breathless, waiting
yeah, for mixes 100%. So I host SEKORA Radio on SoundCloud. That's why I have the premium version as well. It's great. It works really well. Vocals really good. Cool. I'll check it out later. Maybe just grab my laptop on the couch, put on like a nice series or something like that, and then start writing. Or maybe I'll just play some PlayStation, I don't know. Can go either way. Alright. Let me just start giving some feedback here. I think the bass line could be a bit more interesting. Sounds are nice. The vibe is good. Definitely like the vibe. The drums, I'm not so sure. I think the drums could be a bit more lively. A little bit static, too repetitive. Let's get through a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like, I like the track. The vocal's really nice, but I just saw in the comments that it's a sample, so that makes sense, and it's already like mixed properly, etc. Doesn't really matter though, because you know the vibe is good. I think the track is quite nice, but it's missing some human touch. So bass line, leads, drums, it feels a bit static. So I feel like if you can find ways to make that more lively, you know, get some automation, some randomization in your drums, that type of stuff, like the, you know, a really like detailed editing on that, like humanization in your track, then it can be a really cool track for sure. But right now it feels a bit robotic, like a bit static. So that's like the biggest feedback I would have for this tune. That would take it a step further. All right, the next one is going to be Pink Witch. I always like how Pink Witch comes with these random version names. Version 3.5. We definitely skipped the beta phase on this track. I just wonder, like how many versions do you have? I'm just curious. Like, name a number. Is it like 20 versions? Like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 until, you know. Yeah. Too many versions. What about my bike, Leo? I didn't buy a new one, no. Versions, guys. I mean, I'm so perfect. I just bang out a track in one sitting. Like, one version is like release, done. None of that version going back and forth crap. Just one version, let's go, bam, got it, straight up. Alright, I'll just give some feedback already. I bass line could have a bit more groove to it. It feels very static. Yeah, so it's definitely about timing. I think timing and swing on that bass line. I think that's the one. But also, like, what I'm really curious, because I don't think you've done that before. So what I notice a lot with demos that we get in as well, and also a lot of you guys that send in tunes, is that, let me turn it down a little bit, is that, you know, after I get a demo and I give feedback on it, and you guys say you work on it, but then like, I never ever hear from it again. So I'm kind of curious, because you guys are making so much music, right? But hardly any of the music I hear has that like final 10% that it needs to be a finished song, right? So that's what I would like to see, honestly, and it's fine if you resend in a tune after a while. Like I would like to see some of you guys, when you have an idea that's good, to take the feedback, go back to it, and then like you go like 100%, and like really dedicate twice the amount of time on the one song that had potential. Because what I notice a lot is that, and I tend to do this myself as well, you make a song, you have an idea, and it's like 90% finished, sort of. You send it in as a demo to check, like, oh, are there people liking it, blah, blah. You know, you get some response, you get some improvement points, and then decide to make a new song and then send in a new song. So I barely get any like fully finished songs, right? So that's something that I would be interested in. And that's not specific to you, Pinkwitch, just in general. Like anyone sending me tunes here. I'm just curious to, any of you guys actually take the feedback and then completely 100% finish the track. Dive into the details, fix that one little note on the bass line that's lagging behind a little bit, where you're like, oh, if I move it just a little bit forward, it would finish the song. That type of stuff, like the really nitty-gritty details. Especially in this genre, it's very important to do that, as your teacher, Tim Green, would agree with. Yeah, I think it's about the same feedback as the first track. It needs a bit more humanization. So, get that groove going. Maybe play that bass line by hand. Go on the keyboard, play it by hand. And the mistakes that you make can actually make it better. Or, not to say better, but, it might make it more interesting. Same goes with the drums, some more humanization in there as well, and you can just feel it in the groove when it has that extra touch that makes it, by playing some instruments yourself, getting like a drum pad, because the energy that you get from playing and performing live, whether it's twisting knobs, hitting the keys, all those errors that you're making, those human errors, that makes the track a lot more interesting. And that's it's too clean, it's too static in a way. So I think if you were to humanize it a bit more, it would make the song more interesting as well, because a lot of elements that repeat themselves over and over again, which is normal in this type of music. But if that happens, then you need to make it interesting by automating, by changing, by humanizing. Because if you can create a beat that you can just loop for, like, I'd say like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, if that's a beat that you can easily create those beats, but you need to humanize it. You need to work on the groove, like go into the details, if you do that, you can have a loop that can go on for hours and it doesn't get boring. And that's the whole key with this organic house stuff, is that it's in like the loops, the drums, and then the automations in the pads, that's what like builds the arrangement. But the drums itself, they need to be humanized in a way where you can just listen to it for hours and it doesn't get boring. Those are the best ones. Those are the best loops, sort of say. And that's hard to create with just dragging and dropping a loop from a sample pack. You need to have some elements, the easiest being a shaker or a hi-hat. So like an offbeat hi-hat, you can easily add like a randomization where it pans left and right a little bit and the velocity is randomized. Like really small things, and you might not even hear it if you just listen if you listen to the hi-hat, you're like, they all sound the same. You know, what is this guy on about? Is he high? They all sound the same, but it's a feeling that you get. If you don't do it, then, you know, you're just missing something. It feels static, it feels boring. But when you add that randomization, even if it's almost not audible, there's this weird thing that happens. You feel it in the music where it just changes all the time. And with these randomized little tricks that you do on all your percussive elements or your drum elements, that's what makes it possible to just listen to it on repeat forever and ever and ever. And that's one of the first things I learned when I started producing. I mean, I didn't really do it myself back then, but I remember this guy telling me about this. Was Egbert, I believe his name was. He made techno with Secret Cinema, like these two dudes from the Netherlands, and he was like, he showed these tricks as well on, like, he randomizes everything in his loops, and because he makes techno, and it's like everything is randomized, all the drums, like everything, and they're very small randomizations, but combining it with everything else, it just, for some reason, and that's why you can listen to these techno grooves for hours on end. You know, even though it's all the same, sort of, it feels different because it's randomized. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. Next one is JPB Elims. There we go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's actually Jeroen, Secret Cinema. We share the same last name. So his name is Jeroen Verheij, Secret Cinema. And my name is actually Wesley Verheij. We're not related though, but there might be something in the family that makes us want to make insanely good beats. I don't know what it is. I always really like the style. He's also from Rotterdam. So there might actually be some connection as a relative. Who knows? Bassline's really nice. I think I'm gonna pause it real quick. I think with this bassline, what would be really cool if you do like transpose it. So instead of going like dun, 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 and then have like one little note in between that goes like yeah. You hear this quite often with these type of synths or with these type of bass lines, but it makes it so much more interesting. Like just having like one little note, transpose it like 1 octave higher, and then going back, and it just gives us like this interesting feel to it. So maybe try that as well, see what it does. Oh, really? Okay, there you go. Vibe is good. This here, I would shorten this up a little bit because this might drag on a bit too much or a bit too long. Yes, there we go. Okay, yeah, nice job, nice touch. That's exactly what I was talking about. Oh man, we got some DJ skills as well. So that little sound that, where was it? Was it here? This sound. That's the sound a DJ makes when he doesn't know how to mix like the next song. He just like puts the delay on and then just spins the track and then just hits play on the other one, just slams it in there. Nice transition, bro. I have to be honest, I'm guilty of doing that. So I've done, well, I'm not, but I've done it in the past. When you're like mixing in two unmixable tracks, you're just like, you know what? I'll just do the spin and switch. Spin that, and then just bang in the next track, and you're like, good transition. I feel like that's one of the go-to tricks from the DJing for beginners, like dummy DJing book or something like that. If you don't know how to mix the next song in, just spin the jog wheel and just slam on the fader and you're good to go. No, it's cool. It's cool. It's like I'm just messing around, but that's what it sort of reminded me of. But it's a nice track, man. I like it. It has good elements. I feel like, now it's about detailing it out and just taking it that extra mile, I guess. Let's check Yeah, so I think, for example, like you could add some clarity or some more hiss to your drums. Your that offbeat shaker, it could have a bit more energy. So you can either boost the highs a little on this. Like if you boost around 10k, for example, then you get like a nice little crispiness. You can use a overdrive distortion plugin on Ableton if you're on Ableton, and you can sort of move around where it distorts. So if you use overdrive and then you just distort around 8 to 10k, and then use a little bit of overdrive on it, it gives this like extra crispiness, and it increases the energy of your hat, your off hat. And another thing you can do to give it a bit more presence is you can use a vocoder. So if you use Ableton stock vocoder, there's a preset that's made for drums, and what this does is that it just makes it pop out a little bit more, just gives it a bit more body, a bit more width, and just put the dry wet like really low. You don't have to use a lot, but just a little bit would just make it pop out a little bit more. So I feel like with this track you can make the offbeat hi-hat a bit more aggressive, and it will give it more energy. I think that's something that you can have a look at. All right, next up, one more message. Yeah, I'm sorry, Venko, but we've already closed it off at Koppo, so those are going to be the 3 last ones.
I feel a change, something within my heart. I didn't know I could feel like this. Running away, trying to keep us apart.
It's pretty cool.
'Cause I knew I would fall so hard.
God, these vocals again.
You scare me with how much I could love. You give me wings, how you lift me up. I can't lose you, I need you here. I can't lose you, I need you here. Nothing's
Okay. Yeah. Before we continue, I wanted to say something about what you put in your description. So this is something that I personally recommend never writing in your description, because, like, how do you say it? Don't sort of, degrade yourself. Like, don't, yeah, like, I'm missing the right word for it, but, like, don't talk negatively about yourself. Like, if the mix is a bit off, I would tell you, but you don't have to, don't have to state it yourself. Like, either fix it right away, or just don't mention it and just be like, this is what it is, and then I can just give you feedback on it. So, because it's really not that bad, honestly. And you also don't have to mention about vocals, because if it's a good vocal, even if it's a sample, it doesn't matter. Yeah, don't undercut yourself. Also, don't give yourself excuses. If you oh, it's skipping. Okay, hold on.
You give me wings, how you lift me up.
Alright, that should fix it.
I can't lose
I think it should be fixed now. Let me know, guys. Yeah, Thomas, it's like, don't take it the wrong way though, right? I'm just giving you some friendly advice here, because the song really isn't bad, and even if you were to keep this vocal, who cares? If you can make a good song with a vocal sample or sample vocal, whatever, just go with it, man. Because the thing is, if this is what it is, if you actually have the intention of getting, an original vocal, just go and get it. Period. Right? So you could say, you can mention that I want to get original vocals on it, but it doesn't need it. Because if you say something like it needs original vocals, you're sort of undercutting yourself, right? So you don't have to do that. Like, let me be the judge of it. So I like the vocals. They're pretty good. I haven't heard these before, I believe. And if you make this track good enough and releasable, you can release it with these vocals. That's what sample vocals are for. And then if you do want to get original vocals, just go get them. Just do it. Like the what's the dude's name again? The just do it meme, Yeah, that's what I would say. The mix is alright, it's not bad.
Running away, you scare me with how much I could love. You give.
Okay, so that lead, that ARP, I think with the ARP, what you can do is widen it up a little bit and just take it down a notch. Because right now the ARP is sort of overshadowing the vocal. So the vocal should be in the front, right? That's the one that's the center stage. And the ARP should be something that sort of backs it up. So take it down a little bit. You can also use something like track spacer to, duck that ARP when the vocal hits. But I think if you just widen it, use like a chorus plugin or pan it a little bit to the left or to the right, or make some auto pan automation or something like that, just to give some bit more space for that vocal, because the vocal is the one that takes center stage. Then the ARP will sit better in the mix as well, I think. Because right now they're both centered. And that the bass line, I would say, you can make it a little bit more filthy. So putting like a distortion on it, maybe a trash 2 would be nice, to give it a bit of air, to like really some crispiness. Also, what's that? The one from Sound Toys, the distortion plugin, that could also work on this. I think because the bass line is usually what these tracks are sort of about. So giving it a bit of extra spice and a little bit of extra love on that bass line should be good. Yeah, I think this song, honestly, it just takes a little bit more work, but if you can fine tune the details, I actually think it's quite a nice song. And I would, I might consider it. It depends on where you can take it. So it's definitely not there yet, but the ideas are pretty solid. And if you then look at it, get a vocal for it, could be a good song, or you can just release it yourself. That's my feedback, but it's a good song. It's a good song already. The idea is nice. It just needs a bit more work. That's all. All right. Meditations in an emergency. Aleved. Is he in the chat? There you go. It's definitely a catchy melody. I know, I have a feeling this is gonna be stuck in my head. Definitely has a very nice touch to it. I don't think I can give much feedback on this track. I think most of it is just cleaning up the track, cleaning up your mix. The clap, for example, is nice. But so what I think about this clap, for example, I like the sound, but what it's missing is something in the middle. So right now it's like a very wide background type of clap, which is nice if you use it as a layer, I would also look at something that's a bit more upfront. So, or either tone it down on the wideness on the clap that you have and boost it a little bit. Because most of the time drums, they tend to be like center, and this clap is so super wide and far down. It sounds a bit off to me. So it's a nice sound, but I think I would tone it down a little bit on the wideness and on the reverb that's going on with that clap. Yeah, I think that's it, really, because most of the elements are there. Arrangement is fine too. Maybe you can use some pads here in this part. It feels a bit empty right now. I know. I think the song itself, idea is quite nice. I like the whole atmosphere in this track. There's nothing much to add, really, in my opinion. So it's pretty much there, but it's again, it's just about the details now, just finishing up those details. I think, yeah, looking at that clap, for example, you can boost that a little bit. Drums in general, you can still have like very mellow, easygoing drums, but if you go into the details a little bit and just clean it up a little, maybe add some saturation here and there, or some tape saturation, stuff like that, and EQing some of the elements, it will have a much cleaner sound, and the song will sort of, I know, it will breathe a bit more if you give every element its space, because right now it feels like everything is just just single tracks, and everything it's not mixed as if it's supposed to be working together, if that makes any sense. So I think right now it's just the final couple percent, to finalize this track, and yeah, that's all in the mix, really. And that's something that you can look into. So otherwise, it's a good song, and melodies, etc. There's not much to add. I mean, you can look at maybe adding like a counter melody or something extra that goes on in the second half. I mean, you do have that vocal, but like a little top lead, or it's like some little plucks with some reverb. Nothing, like not an ARP, but just a pluck that goes a ding, 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 something like that. That just over time smears out a little bit and gives it something extra interesting that people can sort of latch onto. But yeah, the rest is just mixed down stuff, I'd say. All right. About this, especially love some feedback on first chorus. Okay. I'll give you some specific details about the first chorus. You're welcome, my man. I hope you can take it to the next level. I guess we'll see. Well, yeah, you're definitely getting there. It's a good track. I like it. Atmosphere is good. Now let's go into compose Winter Piano. Is it me, or is this pretty quiet right now? Priorities, my friend. Would you like to get some detailed feedback on your chorus, or some boring meeting that probably doesn't really have a strong conclusion? Work meetings. I really like this, honestly. Koppo, just curious. I'm not sure if you told us before, but how long have you been producing exactly? Any like musical background? Instruments or whatever you played before? Yeah, honestly, you're asking about the first chorus, but I don't think this is too empty, honestly. So, but if you have the feeling that it's too empty, you can always add ear candy. And ear candy doesn't, because the thing is, the piano is really nice, and I actually enjoy just the piano. But so what you can do is, for example, at this part, like the second part of the chorus, you can introduce like a pad sound, like an evolving pad sound that comes in and fills out the spectrum a little bit, like some chords or just a regular pad or stuff like that. Here you can maybe do some ear candy, like light stuff, right? But I kind of like it being this minimal right now, because it sounds pretty good, and I feel like, and it's a bit quiet, but the thing is, I can hear, and that's what I'm looking for most of the time when I'm listening to tracks. I can hear that you have an ear for songwriting. So the production skills or the production in this particular track might not be there yet, but that's something you can work on. I do hear the songwriting, which has potential. So I think with the right help, or just working on the song yourself, it is something that I would be interested in, because I'm a sucker for pianos. I really like that. But yeah, you can feel that this song, it has how do you say it? The songwriting sort of has this emotion behind it that speaks to me. Well, yeah, it's not about it's not per se about the layers in the piano. It does help in this case, but it's about having something else that sort of accompanies what's going on here. So, because the thing is, if you just add stuff that plays the exact same thing, it just it fills out the spectrum, but it doesn't make it more interesting. So it's more about evolving the sound and evolving the song, like progressing it. So with a pad that's rising, that would make more sense than just another layer to add on the pianos, right? And yeah, you can also hear around this part, maybe have some sort of lead that goes on top of it. So I know you have something here, but it's still really in the background, and having something that's a bit more like sort of bells or sounds like that. I think because what this song sort of reminds me, and it's kind of funny because I was listening to my friend's mix on DGTL this afternoon, and I think you can probably have a listen to what he does in his song. So let me just grab that real quick. I was listening to this. I think this is the one. Yeah, so I was listening to my friend David's mix today, because it got suggested to me for some reason. But there's a couple songs in here, and it has a similar vibe to your track right here. But what he does is then to make it more interesting, because it's also, some of his songs are super simple, very minimalistic, but they work because he adds like an alteration or a counter melody at exactly the right time. So that's something that you can, what I would do honestly, if you feel like your songs are, or this is too empty, or you want to take it, like make it a bit more interesting, like have a listen to this mix right here, and get that same sort of vibe, and check also what he does a little bit. I think it might give you an idea of where to take your song next. But like I said, the songwriting is already there. I think now it's a matter of diving into the details, getting some ear candy here and there to fill it out a little bit. What also helps is taking some atmospheric sound. You can take like this like background noise rumble type of thing, and just loop it. So what I would do, for example, let's go to I tend to find this type of stuff on Splice, right? And so like sounds, maybe like cinematic effects. Why is it so super slow? Okay, so atmospheres, right? You get stuff like this. Maybe something like, oh, let's turn it down a little bit. So, like something like this. Can you guys hear this? Getting stuff like this in between there, right? And okay, so this one is, for example, this is A minor, but you can just put it on the key. You can just put it on the key of your song, and then what I would do is get a sampler on Ableton and just loop. Oh, sorry, the camera just cut out. I'm just gonna finish this off without the camera. Sorry about that, guys. So what you can do here is you can actually, yeah, you can just loop in Ableton. You can loop a small section of a sample like this, and then maybe transpose it up or down or something like that, and just like really subtly mix it into your song. And it might not be very present at first, but it will make a world of difference. And I know like all these guys, they all do this. So and even with Resident, you can hear it in the songs. If you really listen to it, you can hear it. Let me check if I have. No, I don't have my other webcam. Oops. But that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, my camera just quit out because it ran out of power. Anyway, so we're gonna have to or I can get my other camera. Hold on, let me try to figure this out real quick. I'll be right back. I'll just put on the rest of the song. Okay, well, camera's still dead. But let's see. Yeah, time sound. It doesn't matter which track. This just play just the beginning, but I don't want to get claims. It's more about. Well, let me check if I can get the other camera working. It's a really bad time for the camera to die. Okay. Just play it one more time. I actually do want the camera to work, so let me just try to figure this out.